and welcome to a new episode of the Fluent English Pro podcast. My name is. You should know my name already. Well, if you're new, my name is David Perez, your amazing host, and today we are going to talk about false friends. And no, I am not talking about that person who owes you money. I'm talking about false friends in English versus your native language. It is important to recognize these and to learn these because you're going to avoid mistakes both in personal and professional communication. But first, let's define what a false friend is. We already mentioned we are not speaking about a person, but about words, vocabulary. The technical name for these false friends is false cognates. False cognates. These are words that look similar in your native language and in English. They look similar and they sometimes sound similar in your native language and in English, but the meaning is different. Sometimes the meaning can be totally the opposite or very different or unrelated, or sometimes the meaning is just a tiny bit different. There is like a small nuance in difference. But it is key, it is paramount to learn about them, to identify them, so you can avoid confusion, yeah, and you can easily detect them in business contexts and work contexts. Of course, in everyday contexts as well, yeah. I am going to give some examples based on Spanish, which is my native language, but I am sure there are going to be some expressions, some words that are going to apply to your native language as well. Let's check some of those. The first two ones are actual versus actual. The spelling is exactly the same. The pronunciation is very similar between English and Spanish, but actual means real and actual means current, which is happening at the moment. Yes? So one refers to real and the other refers to something that is happening at the moment or that is present at the moment. It is very common for Spanish speakers to confuse actual as a synonym of current. If we are speaking about the current president of the United States or the current president of France, yes, a native Spanish speaker might say the actual president or the actual prime minister, yeah, the actual president of the United States or the actual president of France. In this is incorrect, yes, because they are thinking about actual, the word in Spanish, not actual, the word in English. So this is a very common one. Actual versus actual. The other word that is very similar in spelling and pronunciation between English and Spanish is assist. And you have asistir. Assist and asistir. Yeah, spelling is very similar, pronunciation is similar. But in English, to assist means to help, to support, yeah, to help a person, to help a process, to assist. Versus asistir means to attend, as in attending a meeting or attending an appointment. So it is common that native Spanish speakers will say, I am going to assist a meeting, meaning they are going to attend a meeting. So, as you can notice, it is easy to get confused because the words look and sound so similar in both languages that you think unconsciously that they are the same thing. Let's go with another one, which has a little bit more distance in meaning. All right. We have fabric versus fábrica. Fabric is the material of which clothes are made. Yes, for example, you have linen, you have polyester, you have cotton, you have all these materials that compose fabric, and you use fabric to make clothes. Versus fábrica, which actually means factory. Yeah, the Spanish word fábrica means factory, but some people might confuse and might use the word fabric as a replacement for factory because they look and sound super similar. Another super common one, this is particularly for beginners, but it also happens in intermediate levels, is the library, yeah, versus librería. Here, the difference is more nuanced because both words are connected to books. Both of them are connected to books. But library refers to the place where you borrow books, and librería refers to the place where you buy books. That is the bookstore. Librería will be the Spanish word, or is the Spanish word for bookstore, meaning they are very similar. They are related to the same items, but there is a small difference in the meaning, a small and yet big difference in the meaning. Another one, or let's go with the next two that are very, very closely related to work. The first one is resume versus resumen. Yeah. And very common mistake also in Spanish speakers at a beginner and intermediate level. Resume and resumen. Resume is your curriculum vitae. Yes, it's your curriculum. Whenever you're looking for a job, you put all your personal information there, your skills, your experience. You submit that to a company, expecting that they will call you for an interview. That is what a resume is. A resumen, however, is a summary. Yes, is getting the key ideas from a text or from a document and compacting them into shorter versions of that idea. Yeah, resumen means summary, but they look and sound very, very similar. The next one is critical, and that is billion versus billón in Spanish. And I say this one is critical because it is a very common mistake even among advanced speakers of English. Yes, native speakers of Spanish who are advanced speakers of English still make that mistake. Actually, I see this a lot on the media, on television, on the news, yeah, or on news websites. They confuse a lot the words billion and billón. They both refer to a number. The number apparently is similar, but actually they refer to very different quantities. So this is the thing. 1 billion in English corresponds to 1,000 million. 1 billion in English corresponds to 1,000 million. 1 billón in Spanish, a billón in Spanish, corresponds to 1 million million. 1 million million. So 1 billion is a 1 with 9 zeros, and 1 billón is 1 and 12 zeros. If you want to see the difference will be 999,000 million. 999,000 million. That is the difference between one number and the other. So if you accidentally translate one as the other, the difference is incredibly huge. And news websites and news programs and influencers and a lot of people frequently, very frequently make this mistake. Imagine this. You are writing a report on how much public spending was in the previous year. and you accidentally use 1 billion as 1 billion, there is going to be a bad situation because the numbers do not correspond to reality. There is a big difference between them. Yet, this is a very common mistake, so be very aware of this if you are a native Spanish speaker. Good? I'm sure these kind of situations happen with other languages as well. So, as you have noticed, some of them actually refer to very similar things, but they have a difference. And so in some other cases, the difference is very, very big, such as in like factory and fabric. Yes, fábrica and fabric and factory is more evident. What may happen if you use a false friend or a false cognate in business settings or in work settings? Well, the first thing is you're going to have a miscommunication. You're going to have a miscommunication, and that might affect contracts and that might affect negotiations, for example. You're going to have errors in presentations, in articles, in contracts. Yes, imagine using billion instead of billion and using the wrong number. You are going to have issues there because these documents are critical for decision making and they have legal and contractual consequences. So it's important that you research and you identify what those false friends are, both in general English and in your specific area of knowledge or in your specific professional area. And as a consequence of this, we risk damage to our professional reputation. Yes, if we have these communication issues in documents or in spoken word, that can affect how other people view us as professionals. This is not a catastrophic situation. This is the worst case scenario. I am not saying that you are going to die professionally because you made a mistake in English, because obviously we make mistakes in English. I make mistakes in English. It's part of life. Even native people make mistakes in English. I'm just saying that the better you learn your false cognates, yes, the more vocabulary you expand, the less possible these situations are going to be. That's it. Yeah. So don't get freaked out, or don't get anxious because, oh my God, I'm gonna die because I don't know all the false friends or all the false cognates. Nothing bad is gonna happen. It's just you are going to reduce the possibility of miscommunication and issues when it comes to speaking in English in your area. So, how can you prevent these mistakes? First, don't trust all the words. If that word looks and sounds very much like your native language, don't trust it 100%. It is okay to doubt a bit. And then go check the meaning on dictionary.com, for example, or use a translation tool. I will recommend dictionary.com to check the meaning of the word in English. Yeah, sometimes the difference is subtle, sometimes the difference is big, but always check the meaning if the word sounds and looks similar to your native language. Good. Additional to this, you can support the work you're doing by using business dictionaries. Yes, you have some dictionaries focused on business English, or just by reading books focused on business. This will help you understand what the actual meaning of words are that might differ from the meaning you thought they had. And the last one is, of course, because we are working with team members and we are working in teams, it is okay to ask for clarification and ask for explanation in case some terms are confusing or are suspicious to you. Great. If you know of other false friends or false cognates that pertain to the area of work English and business English between your native language and English, please let us know. We will be more than glad to learn of other vocabulary that might present this challenge and this interesting situation. So feel free to write down in the comments or on any of our posts. You can go at you can find us on Instagram and you can find us on Facebook and TikTok as Fluent English Pro. And if you want to continue learning more about English for work, English for business, English for your professional growth, subscribe right now. Right now. If you haven't, you gotta subscribe now. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for subscribing on YouTube, on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, wherever you are listening to us. Just click subscribe. Have an amazing day and see you on the next one. Goodbye.